Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. This is sort of a follow-up to the 10 USA-made lockback knives, but this is also kind of turning into something that I might be doing throughout 2024, and that is showing some of my collections of knives that I have, sub-collections of knives. So in this one, I'm actually going to show you a sub-collection of a sub-collection, and in this case, it's going to be my Japanese-made lockback knives. Now, this is the current Japanese-made lockback knives that I own. I might have some more showing up later in the future, but these are all the Japanese lockback knives that I can find in my collection. And if you notice right up front is there's a bunch of dragonflies. And the main reason is I bought this one here. This is the Zone Green Dragonfly 2 in VG10 steel, and basically just kind of fell in love with this knife, and it has not parted my side since then. And it just got me into a craze for this pattern. I really like this knife. This knife basically sold me on Spyderco, but it also kind of got me to the point where it's like, do I really need any other Spyderco knife? I know they've got a lot of them, different sizes, different designs, and everything else, but this knife kind of fills the needs. I have bought other ones. The other ones I bought are not from Japan, though. In any case, I bought the Dragonfly 2, and then I was like, I wanted more. And the history nut in me decided, well, let's try and find the oldest Spyderco knife that you can find and buy that. And that's what I did. This was the earliest Spyderco Dragonfly. This is, if you notice, is lacking the boy dent, and it has a different steel in it. It is G2 stainless, which is some kind, I don't know exactly what G2 stainless is. I don't know if it's osate or not. The interesting thing, if you notice, is it has the scallop blade. They also had this with a fine edge. But the really interesting thing is, note how much slimmer the blade is. You don't have nearly the ramp that you have. There's no jimping going on. You don't see jimping on the Dragonfly. You see the jimping show up on the Dragonfly 2. In any case, different blade profile all around. It also had the early pocket clip that is just molded into the one side of the handle. And actually, you know, that feels pretty good in this knife for some reason. Again, no boy dent. That was the first. And then the next that shows up, now we're into, I believe this one has the osate, but it still lacks the boy dent. The boy dent is not in there yet. And now you notice the bump has gotten higher because this really is not easy to open one-handed. But they relocated the hole, and now the knife can be opened one-handed. It is still with just the molded in pocket clip there. And then next we have the Dragonfly, still in the molded on clip, but the boy dent has shown up, and it is still using osate. And then that is all of my original Dragonflies, and then we're going into the Dragonfly 2s. And we got two here with H1 steel. I keep meaning to do video on these knives with the H1. Now, these are H1, which is a nitrogen-based steel, which is almost impervious to rust. It's the steel that they use in the Salt series, so you could say that these are Salt series Dragonflies, I guess. They're in the yellow handles and such. This one has the typical Dragonfly style blade, but it is if you notice, it has a hollow grind going instead of the full flat grind, and it has a scalloped edge there, or a serrated edge. And then this one is the hawkbill version, again with more of like a saber grind, and then the hollow grind down there, but H1 steel. And then this is a glow-in-the-dark dragonfly, because, well, if you can get a dragonfly that glows in the dark, why wouldn't you? This is a Dragonfly 2. These are also more or less Dragonfly 2 frames. Otherwise, this is VG10 steel. The only difference is it glows in the dark. And then the Dragonfly tattoo. I really need to get a stainless steel Dragonfly that is not a tattoo. I just haven't decided to do it yet. Because it's a tattoo. Matter of fact, none of the Dragonflies have a pocket clip that you can move to the other side. So it's a right hand pocket clip carry only. But if you notice, this doesn't have jimping. This is actually a Dragonfly. It is not a Dragonfly 2, but it's a Dragonfly tattoo, which is pretty cool. This is the one I carry every day. I might get a replacement for that. I do need to explore the other steels other than H1, but I'll be doing that soon. But there are 8 of my Japanese lockbacks. Okay, I've removed all the Dragonflies. The only one remaining is a tattoo. It represents the all of the Dragonflies that I own. Let's move on to some other knives, and we'll start with the Jet Airs. I own 2 of these. These are the 806 Jet Air. As you can see, it's a lockback knife. And then it also has a pair of scissors on there. One of them's in a little bit better shape than the other one. This is the one that I have for the collection. This is the one that I carry all the time. The Jet Air 806. Moving on, here's a funky one. This is what most people would consider a truck stop knife, but this was actually made in Japan. This is the Panther 2, and it is like just some funky folder. As you can see, it's using what, who made this thing? Vanadium stainless steel. That's what they called their 440A all the time. And it's just a funky knife, made in Japan though. So there's a lockback. How well it locks is beyond me. Not the world's greatest knife in the world, but funky with a very big handle. Let's put the Panther 2 over there. Here's one that more people will appreciate, I think. And this is the Klein Tool 5-inch lockback. Does it have a number on it? Klein Tool Incorporated, Japan. It is the 44037. This is basically the 5-inch lockback, similar to the LB7 by Schrade or the Buck 110. But as you can see, it's by Klein Tool, and it was made in Japan. You got some wood covers on there, 3 brass pins, and then your brass bolsters going on with it too. Very nice knife though, very heavy too. And this is the Precise USA Deer Slayer, which is made in Japan. Precise USA is the name of the company. And you see again, nice wood grain. You got the 3 brass pins and then the brass bolsters. It is also basically a 5-inch lockback, but this one has 2 layers. The clip blade is the blade that locks, as you can see there, but it has a second blade, and the second blade on here is a big old wood saw that does not lock. Got an interesting angle on there too. So that is my Precise Deer Slayer with the wood saw, which is pretty cool. Okay, that's it for my big knives. This is one of the mid-size knives. I've shown this one before, and this is known as the Moonshiner by Taylor Cutlery. These were made back in the 1980s, I believe. You notice it's all brass. It is a lockback, and you got this ring here for your front finger, so a finger ring knife going on. And then you got the spear blade. You see there, Taylor Surgical Japan, and your finger goes through there. But the cool thing about this is the scene on the front there. And I tell you what, those moonshiners, that is one heck of an elaborate setup for moonshiners. The moonshiners I saw when I was younger, yeah, they usually had like 2 little stills and everything was going in the glass jars. Anyway, that's the Moonshiner by Taylor Cutlery. I have done a video on this before. This is later released by Rough Rider, but that one comes out of China. But there we have the Moonshiner out of Japan by Taylor Cutlery. And this one is my Choctaw. This is a Frost Choctaw, but it's an early one, 3 3/4 inches long, closed, and white smooth bone. And this was also made in Japan. That's where Frost was making the knives early on. And this one has a little green beret scene on the front. Kill them all, let God sort them out. But you can see here, surgical steel. You can barely make it out up there where it says Japan. So they, even back then, I mean, for some reason, they didn't want you to know the knife was made in Japan even. But this is one of the early Choctaws, and I bought it because it's white smooth bone. Unfortunately, it had that saying on there, but I grabbed it anyway because it was white smooth bone, and probably something that makes it a little more valued just simply because it does have the blade etch, but it's a pretty cool knife. Now we got one of those scenic knives. That's what I've been calling them. I understand from watching Rasputin's Castle that they're actually called relief knives. I'll probably still call them scenic knives because that's usually the way I can find them on eBay. Typing in something like hunter's scene or pheasant scene, something like that, and then the knife will come up. This is by Sharp's Cutlery, though. Also a knife made in Japan, and it's got a pheasant on there. And it's just a little lock back, and really cool. You know, overall length of it isn't that big. You could probably actually use this as a pheasant knife. Yeah. 5 1/4 inches long overall with about a 3-inch handle. But yeah, you could use this if you're, you know, cleaning up a pheasant or something. It's a proper kind of Skinner blade and everything. Nice little knife too. So the pheasant knife, now they're all going to fall. Anyway, moving on to the next one, another one of those relief knives. This is the Explorer 11 351, I believe. And you see you have a looks like Davy Crockett or Dan O'Boone, somebody in a coonskin cap shooting a deer on this side. And then on the other side, it looks like a dog or a couple dogs attacking a bear, and it looks like the bear is getting the better part of a person down there. So this is kind of like the don't get eaten by a bear knife in the collection. Otherwise, it's very close to what you have in the pheasant knife in shape and everything. I think Explorer was by Edgemark. I'm not sure, but it's a really nice knife. Really brightly mirror polished finish on the blade. 448 stainless steel, and the lock works really well on it too. So there's another one of my little lockbacks from Japan. And this one is my Edgemark 11 120 Squirrel Hunter. These are the Cub lockbacks. That's what Rough Rider calls them today, and Colt will also call them the Cub lockback. But this one is made in Japan. It features imitation pearl handles and got the little finger groove up there on the front. I love these little knives, and these are little knives. Comes in right at 4 1/4 inches or so. And this is by Edgemark out of Japan. Really cute little knife, and as you see there, Squirrel Hunter. And another knife that kind of falls into the Squirrel Hunter family. The overall length and size of it is the same as the Squirrel Hunter, but as you can see, it looks a little different in the handle shape and everything. You don't have the forward finger choil and such. This is by Taylor Cutlery, as you can see right there. made in Japan, 440 stainless. Again, the Japan is very lightly stamped up there. It's almost impossible to see, but it is definitely made in Japan. And you got the packawood handles, you got the slant bolster up front. Just a really pretty knife. I think that's one of the reasons I have so many knives made in Japan is I kind of got on this kick for looking for small lockbacks, and I noticed a lot of them were made in Japan, so I just kept buying them because, well, you just don't find them that often. So we got that one, and then this is the last one I got. It's a wee little lockback by Frost Cutlery. I'm almost embarrassed to show it, but it is one of the knives I have, a lockback out of Japan. And as you can see, there's a scene on the blade here. And well, let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. It's a little hula girl laying on the beach, but it is by Frost Cutlery. And it's a little bit smaller than the other knives that I have, the other squirrel hunter style knives. You can see it here, but not much smaller, just a slimmer build on it and everything. But it's a pretty cool little knife, and it is a lockback, and it was made in Japan. And that pretty much sums up my entire run of lockbacks out of Japan. All total, well, I guess we'll just count them up in the slideshow and call it a day that way. But in any case, there you have it. That is all of my Japanese-made lockbacks that I own to date. Take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.